name is Joseph Kopser, and I'm running to replace Lamar Smith in Texas 21. For those of you that didn't do the bio, I'll do the 30-second bio, which is I spent 20 years in the United States Army after graduating from from West Point. Practically graduated from Iraq, I'll get to that. Graduated from West Point with an aerospace engineering degree in 1993. Married the love of my life, Amy, on November 12, 1994. And that's significant because that was almost within the very first year of my being in the Army. So we spent 20 years together married while I was in the Army. And then after I got out of the Army, I was still happily married today. She's actually up in Dallas today to see our brand new grand puppy. Our oldest daughter in Dallas just got a puppy, so it's our first opportunity to be grandparents. After the Army, here in Austin, I created a company called Ride Scout, which was a mobile app for your phone to be able to find ways around the city. Had a lot of success with that. Sold it to Mercedes. Was enjoying the good life, working for Mercedes, building smart cities, until Donald Trump came along. The 2016 elections collapsed civility through the floor, to your point about finding common ground. So I decided to return to public service. So that is why I'm running for Congress. So let me address your questions very specifically. Let's make sure I got it. The candidates in the field in the Democratic primary race. Yes, there are 4 of us. And we are all 4 people who, if elected in November, would make a much better representative than Lamar Smith.
You're right.
And now that Lamar Smith has retired, there are 18 people running in the Republican primary. They represent every flavor of the Republican Party today. There are the conspiracy theorists. There are 3 that are fighting to be the Trump heir apparent. There is 1 that is the proud Ted Cruz heir apparent. There is the Karl Rove. There really is everything you want to watch if it were a reality TV show, but unfortunately it's reality, not a television show. But back to our candidates in the primary. Derek Crow is a former congressional staffer who is running. He has the support of a lot of the Bernie Sanders community. He's been endorsed by a number of the Our Revolution folks. The other candidate is Elliot McFadden. Many of you all may know Elliot from his years of activism here in Austin and Travis County. He's helped with a lot of campaigns, political campaigns, and also has worked with a lot of that housing bonds, affordability, and is now currently the the president and executive director of Austin B-Cycle. And then Mary Wilson, who, I love her self-proclaimed description, she is the angry lesbian grandma. She is a pistol. Mary Wilson was a mathematician for 20 years, taught in high school and Austin Community College, and then from there transitioned to be a minister of a UCC church in North Austin, and has been doing wonderfully. So those are the 3 peers in the race that I've gotten to know quite a bit over the last 9 months we've been at this race. Fundraising progress that we hope to make between now and the primary, gift ceilings, and what everybody should be aware of. Let's be honest. Fundraising is the ugly part of politics. Nobody likes it, but until we fix campaign finance reform, it is a reality we must face. So to give you some statistics about our fundraising, and the numbers that I'm going to give you are quite big, they are a factor of 3 things. Number 1, they are a factor of the machinery that I put together. The team and the professionals that are helping me, they come from nonprofits in the political world, and they are helping me build this. Secondly is the actual message we're sending of an Army veteran, a combat vet, who is fed up with the way things are and wants to restore better government, taking experience of public service and business experience, and return to government to serve in a way that puts people over politics and puts policy over partisanship. So that message is resonating. In my first 3 days, I put my name out there in March on a thing called CrowdPack, which is like a Kickstarter for political campaigns. I raised $50,000 in the first 3 days.
Wow.
And immediately shot to the number 2 candidate among all Democrats, some 200-ish at the time, nationwide. Only the woman in Utah, if you remember her race, against Representative whoever that's since going to be retiring, which is a good thing. But the point being, we were off to a big start. At the end of Q2, we filed over $200,000 in outraised Lamar Smith. First time he had ever been outraised in his entire political career that we could tell as far back as records were kept. All summer long, people told me that Lamar Smith was going to do fundraisers, which he did. But for whatever reason, never got the steam and the momentum. And in Q3, we outraised him again. One of the only times a first-time challenger ever outraised a sitting House chair 2 quarters in a row, as best we can tell, in the country. 2 weeks after that filing, Lamar Smith announced his retirement. So we like to take credit in a small way for retiring Lamar Smith already. But quite frankly, it was groups like Texas Indivisible and all the work that they did, and groups like yours continuing to call and protest, that allowed Lamar Smith to realize that this wave is coming. In terms of where we are now, at the end of Q4, our campaign, Kopser for Congress, raised more money in Q4 than any congressional campaign challenger in the state of Texas. That's 36 races. We raised $260,000 in Q4. And why I say that's important is it goes back again to the team we built, to the message we're sending, and to people realizing that we can win this race. So we've already, for you investors in the group, we've mitigated your risk. Every dollar you send to us is not dollars going towards a campaign that's going like this, but instead it's a campaign that's going like this. You know the math. Every dollar we get allows us to reach about 4 voters. We need to reach every potential voter 7 times. 7 times through communications, knocking, mail, radio, whatnot. And then, with that, we still have to get approximately 22,434, not that I'm an aerospace engineer and keep track of this, but we have to get over 20,000 people to the polls to pull the lever for Kopser, because when you look at primaries, too few people vote in primaries, and we've got to bring those people out to vote. In terms of ceilings, you can participate in this opportunity. You don't have to live in Texas 21. $2,700 is the limit per person. There are people in this room that have already donated, and to that I thank you. And then again, after the primary, you have an opportunity to donate another $2,700. That money, is that implied in there where it's come from, or the endorsements? I'll kind of say both. So endorsements have come in nationally and locally. So we'll start nationally. Representative Seth Moulton, a Marine out of Massachusetts, who is now in his 2nd term, was the first member of Congress to come out and endorse our campaign. And with that, he put his PAC behind us. It's called Serve America, and they've been very generous with their time, people. Senator Tammy Duckworth out of Illinois, also another vet who's been down here to Austin for fundraisers. She has also helped me raise money and is a part of our campaign. The number 2 Democrat in the House of Representatives, Steny Hoyer, he's the whip, has endorsed our campaign and has also donated money through his leadership PAC and his service PAC, which has been a big boost for us. And then in terms of national groups, 314 Action, which is a group of STEM professionals led by a woman named Shaughnessy Naughton, who ran 2-3 cycles ago, lost, but said if we don't have more STEM professionals in Congress, we're going to make decisions not based on facts, but based on hearsay and gut reaction. Very proud to have their endorsement. Vote Vets is another group that's endorsed us. They have over 500,000 followers. They are a group of veterans who want to prove by demonstrating their leadership that no one party is the party of patriotism. No one party is the party of public service. And so these are supporting progressive candidates like myself nationwide and offices at all levels. And I'm thrilled to have their endorsement and support. Locally, down in Bexar County, Judge Wolf, who some of you all may know Judge Wolf. He's been in office since I have been alive. No, literally. He has been mayor of San Antonio. He is represented on the city council. He has represented the state legislature, and now he is the Bexar County judge. He is the Sarah Eckhart, if you will, of Bexar County, and he has endorsed our campaign. Locally today, we have maybe 2, look for them in the news, 2 huge endorsements that will come out that I can't talk about until after they bless off on the press release. But I'm extremely proud of their endorsements, and you'll see them in the news later on today. And I'm sure I'm leaving some people out, but I want to move quickly. Getting out the vote realities and opportunity in your district. So the DCCC does not endorse. The DCCC does not endorse. But the DCCC has said to anyone who has asked them that they are very excited about this race for the first time in over 30 years. The DCCC's mission, as you know, is to find people to run for office in the Democratic Party. They are following this race, and they are connecting me to the universe, trying to teach me how all of this works. Since I came from the military and came from business, I'm not a career politician. What they have also said is if I don't win the primary, they're out. There's a lot of other exciting races across the country where they can flip. That's why they put this race as a battleground district for the first time again in 30 plus years, Texas 21. Larry Sabato, who does a survey of the rankings called the University of Virginia Crystal Ball Project, where it says safe seat, likely seat, or lean seat, likely, and then in. What he has noticed is that I have been able to raise money, been able to gain endorsements, and with Lamar Smith out of the race, no longer having that incumbency as a strategy, has said this race is no longer a safe Republican seat. We're moving Texas 21 into the next column over, and cited me and our race by name because of what has happened. We just yesterday met with the Charlie Cook report and their team. They are interested to know more because they too are seeing all these numbers come out, like our Q4 fundraising numbers. As far as how we're going to do it, it's good old-fashioned get out the vote. I've already told you the calculus of how many votes we need. That means that we're going to be knocking on doors. We're going to be knocking on each door of a likely triple D, double D, single D. For those of you who don't know those, that means they voted in the last 3 primaries, the last 2 primaries, and the last primary, which means they know they are reliable Democratic voters. We're knocking on all those doors. When they're not home, we're leaving a flyer. Our current flyer, I'm quite proud of, it has President Obama on the front saying we're looking for leaders, or President Obama was looking for leaders of change. He found one in Texas. And when you flip it over, it describes the award he gave me in 2013 as a White House Champion of Change for my work in clean energy. And so that flyer costs money, and we're putting it out there. So realistically, even though I don't catch you at your house, there'll be a flyer at your door, and then we're also going to be mailing it to you too. So we're going to reach all those voters 7 times through canvassing, through mail, through radio, through digital ads, and it'll be the likes of which this district hasn't seen in 40 years because no one's had the resources and the team that we have. Going back to the list, and priorities of the job you seek, as you see them. The number one thing I'm working to do by running for Congress is to make government work again. And what I mean by that is anything I've done in life goes all the way back to my 6th grade teacher, Mrs. Grievous. She was an NAACP civil rights icon. She was a chapter president, and she herself stood at the counter, demanded service when they wouldn't serve. And as she taught me, skinny little kid in the early 1980s, if you see a problem, go and fix it. I did it in the military, I did it in business, and I'm doing it now. The problem that I see is in Washington, D.C. with a lack of civility. People are in their tribes rather than in their community. Facts no longer matter if it's coming from someone who you don't know and respect. The first thing I'm going to do when I get to D.C. as your representative here in the area is to reach across the aisle, find a moderate Republican who wants to create a Real Jobs Act. And what I mean by a Real Jobs Act is, as you know, since 1980, there's been a stagnation in wages for working Americans, but almost an exponential growth in that of highly educated professionals in the country. That was manifested in the 2016 election. It's when 2-time Obama voters voted for Trump. They see these numbers spreading and they don't see any sight ahead of them that shows any way to improve it. But in military and in business, I not only work with these people, but I created the technology solutions that are leading to this change. And so, education and training, to be able to reconnect them to the jobs of the 21st century is critical. Because they don't care about party. They don't care about the litmus tests. They don't care about their tribes. They care about taking care of their kids, and they take care of their parents. And what they want to do is make sure that they have a job in the future. That is what I'll be working on, because that is the one thing that unites all of us. That is very hard for people to disagree on, and I've got experience in all parts of it from my 5 years of teaching at the university level, in business, building and creating jobs and working with people, and in the military, working with people from all backgrounds. The United States military today that you have is a melting pot of every type, background, funny way of talking, and color of skin that you could ever imagine. As a side note, it's also the largest employer of transgender people in the world. Wow. There are some amazing things about your military that you don't know that I'm very proud of, that I want to be a part of. Did I cover everything?
Thank you.